Botox. You probably associate it with celebrities and influencers, and also millions of regular people using it to get rid of wrinkles and improving their appearance. But if you only think of Botox as a vanity drug, then take a seat. Botox was actually developed in the 1970s to treat strabismus or crossed eyes. The cosmetic benefits of Botox were later discovered by accident. That accident eventually turned Botox into the most popular cosmetic procedure in the world. And since then, doctors have continued to experiment with it and find even more legitimate uses. What's crazy about Botox is that it's an actual toxin made from a bacteria known as Clostridium botulinum. It works by blocking the release of chemical signals between nerves and muscles that tell muscles to contract. Simply put, Botox causes temporary muscle paralysis. And in case you're wondering, no, Botox is not made from snake venom. Currently, Botox is widely used for many therapeutic purposes. It's actually approved by the FDA to treat 9 conditions, and it's used off-label for many more, including some you wouldn't even expect. Off-label prescribing is when a doctor gives an FDA-approved drug for a condition other than what it has been FDA-approved for. Throughout the video, pay attention to one of these stickers popping up symbolizing which category each condition falls under. Oh, and while we're consistently saying Botox this, Botox that, it's important to know that Botox is just a brand name product. It's actually one of 5 botulinum toxin injectables on the market. Compared to its competitors though, Botox is FDA approved for the highest number of medical uses, and because the term Botox is so widely known, we'll use it as a generic catch-all for this whole category of drugs throughout this video. It's similar to how you might say Kleenex to mean tissues, or Google to mean searching for something online. Dr. Alan Scott, an ophthalmologist, began developing Botox in the 1970s as a non-surgical treatment for crossed eyes. Injections into specific eye muscles could reset misaligned eyes in both children and adults. In 1989, the FDA approved Botox for crossed eyes as well as eyelid spasms, a condition that causes uncontrollable eyelid twitching. In the 90s, a strange trend made itself apparent to doctors. When people were getting cosmetic Botox, they suddenly began to experience fewer headaches. Doctors immediately took notice and began their initial research. Years later, in 2010, the FDA approved Botox as a preventive treatment for chronic migraines. A single treatment session consists of 31 injections into specific points on the forehead, temple, neck, nose, back of the head. Interestingly, experts aren't even sure exactly how Botox works for this purpose, but it might be that it's stopping the nerves in the body from sending pain signals to the brain. A use of Botox I'm actually considering. Only about half of people who sweat excessively seek out help from doctors. And that's pretty unfortunate because it's absolutely something to bring up in the exam room, as it can be very treatable. There are actually 2 types of excessive sweating. One is primary hyperhidrosis, which is a fairly common condition caused by faulty nerve signals that push sweat glands to overdo it. Secondary hyperhidrosis can be a result of a separate medical condition or even a side effect of a medication, like taking antidepressants or pain relievers. Botox has been an FDA-approved treatment for primary armpit hyperhidrosis since 2004. It blocks the secretion of the chemical that activates the body's sweat glands, essentially turning them off. Remember though, it only affects sweating wherever it's injected and doesn't stop other areas from sweating. While it's only FDA approved for the underarms, it's still used off-label on the palms, scalp, and even the scrotum. Overactive bladder is a condition where bladder muscles spasm without warning, which can cause uncomfortable symptoms including urinary frequency, urgency, and urine leakage. FDA approved since 2013, injections into the bladder prevent these unwanted muscle contractions, helping to improve bladder control. However, we usually recommend trying lifestyle changes or other medications before reaching for Botox. Pretty surprisingly, in some clinical studies, people have reported feeling less depressed after receiving Botox injected in their frown lines. The leading theory here to explain these results is called the facial feedback hypothesis, stating that facial expressions might affect how you feel internally. So smiling a lot might make you feel happier, whereas frowning might bring you down. So by freezing your facial muscles, Botox makes you frown less and then feel potentially less sad? I'm skeptical, and other experts doubt the reliability of existing findings too. For starters, most studies that support Botox's antidepressant effect are really small. Also, one study did find that Botox has at least some antidepressant effect no matter where it's injected. This suggesting frowning less doesn't even fully explain why Botox might help with depression. So while research supporting this off-label use is interesting, it's far from conclusive. Since the year 2000, Botox has been recommended first-line treatment for severe neck spasms from a condition called cervical dystonia. This neurological disorder causes involuntary contraction of the neck muscles, leading to disabling pain and abnormal head movements. And because it's first-line treatment, that means patients don't need to try out other medications or therapies and can use Botox as the first course of treatment for this specific condition. Muscle spasticity is a common issue for people with neurologic conditions such as multiple sclerosis and cerebral palsy, as well as survivors of stroke and traumatic brain injuries. It causes tension and involuntary movement in muscles because abnormal or damaged nerves send signals to muscles to stiffen and spasm. Botox prevents the release of those signals, which allows the muscles to then relax. It's ideally used when spasticity only affects a few muscles, as otherwise there would just be too many injections. Botox has been and continues to be studied as a treatment for several chronic pain conditions. Studies on neuropathic pain or nerve pain are especially promising. Ongoing pain management is so challenging, so we're always looking for effective solutions. Opioids are sometimes used for severe short-term pain relief, but long-term usage is discouraged because there's a high risk of dependency and all sorts of unpleasant side effects. One challenge in using Botox, though, for chronic pain is that it causes muscle paralysis, which isn't desirable in this case. But last year, researchers started testing out a new form of non-paralytic Botox. So far, they've only studied it in animal models, so human clinical trials are at least a few years away. Still, it's a potentially exciting development. Some studies have found that Botox injections into the nostrils can reduce nasal allergy symptoms like sneezing, itching, and congestion. However, a level of skepticism might be warranted here as it's hard to find recent research on this off-label use. Also, there's something called Haytox. It's a botulinum toxin nasal spray marketed to treat hay fever, and it started gaining traction last year in Australia. Many Australian Medi-Spa websites talk about Haytox as though it's a well-established treatment, but the agency that regulates medications in Australia, the TGA, put out a warning recently that the product is not currently approved. The condition vaginismus causes involuntary vaginal contractions, which can make sex really painful. Botox injections into the walls of the vagina can help relieve this pain by stopping those contractions. Results from a handful of clinical studies are encouraging so far, but experts say more research is needed to figure out, among other things, the correct standard dosage. The effect of this treatment can last anywhere between 6 months and a couple of years, as it truly depends on the person. If you look at yourself in the mirror and see any of the skin changes from this next video, do not ignore them. Click here, check that out. As always, stay happy and healthy.
This was a ballsy move to make, since we could very easily take some unnecessary damage, but I chose to do this because this is what I always do in these challenges.
Like, I would not have enjoyed that film if I just wasn't. I got into this hole of like this like deep sci-fi hole. I watched like another film like Ex Machina as well, which I think is like fucking an amazing film as well. But these are two like
great movie.
Yeah, these are two like very specific films on like very specific niches that I got into because I was like, I just want to watch sci-fi. I just really want to watch something that's sci-fi, and I just want to be like immersed in this world. And you know, I bring up Blade Runner because I was like, this is like a very, I'm not gonna say art house film, but it's a very like.
I mean, I watched it in cinemas and I left being like, "What did I watch?"
yeah.
I was like, I don't get it.
Yeah. It was a very.
Have you seen the original?
Cinematic. Huh?
Have you seen the original?
I watched it like as a kid. I'll be
I
honest.
never watched it.
The Harrison Ford one?
Yeah, I watched it as a
Well,
kid.
he's in this one too.
Oh yeah, but I mean like
No,
the
like
first
the
Blade
OG.
Runner.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like the
Back when
tears in
Harrison
like
Ford-
tears in
Is
the
that when he,
rain.
like, he, like-
like tears in the rain.
Is that when he
That's
like
what I
used to act? Because he just doesn't act.
Yeah, when he
Yeah.
used to be an actor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris's explanation of Indiana Jones, the new one, is so funny. He's just like, it's Harrison Ford depressed in a room. That's a movie. And you're like, what? Okay, Chris.
I feel it's like the last couple of Harrison Ford films.
I mean, if I was that rich, I would just phone it in.
Yes.
I'd be like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I did Star Wars.
God damn.
I mean, he did phone it in a long time ago.
Oh, man.
But,
Oh, yeah, of
fair
course.
enough to him. But like, yeah, like I was saying, I don't know. There's something in my mind, especially when I watch. This is very bad, by the way. When I watch something or when I play something, where subconsciously I'm like, why am I watching this or why am I playing it?
Okay.
Did you get what I mean? Where I'm like, I want there to be a payoff. You know, I want there. I want my time. I want me to come out of a piece of media and not feel like I wasted my time. And I know that's like a really unhealthy mindset. I don't know how to switch it off, and I haven't been able to switch it off.
You got the YouTube brain.
It's not the YouTube brain.
Yeah,
It's-
everything needs to be for a purpose. Everything has to have a reason.
Yeah, I just there have been like too many movies.
Which is ironic coming from the guy who watches all the isekais.
Oh, well, yeah, I know. Right?
But that's the thing. That's the thing with the isekais. I know what the expectation is. I'm
Right,
like,
so why don't you have those same expectations with just movies or games?
because
So we're like, you know what? Maybe it's fine if I don't come out of this with like a really like, you know, fucking question, like esoteric question about like my existence or whatever, or like a deeper understanding of something.
It's not that because like okay, let me rephrase that with isekai, for example.
Sure.
I know the exact package I'm getting from that. I just want a quick, cheap thrill ride. All right, done and done. I'm gonna forget this. If I'm watching something like Blade Runner, for example, if I wasn't in the sci-fi mood, I'm gonna be like, what is going on here? Right?
What's the point?
Why is Ryan Gosling just
Like brooding
really
everywhere.
fucking broody and lonely and really sad and all this shit? But like I was just like when I watched it, I was just, oh man, I just really I'm just in a mood to just be immersed in a different world and just a different futuristic world. And I was just like, that's just the kind of mood I'm in.
Sure.
And I watched it and I was like, holy shit, this is so fucking good. And I just immersed myself in that. And I watched Ex Machina because I was like, Black Mirror isn't really doing it for me right now, but I really, really want to watch something Black Mirror-esque. So that's why I watched Ex Machina.
was good.
Yeah, watch Ex Machina if you're
God,
in
Ex
the mood for
Machina
something like
was
that.
such a good movie.
Because
Fuck.
it feels like a Black Mirror episode made by a different director.
Yeah.
But
That's cool.
yeah,
good.
but yeah, it's like for me, like being in the mood